headliner today. Here we go. First thing you got to do is take out this speaker grill on each side. Now, any of your tools aren't going to work unless they're short. But if you can get a long tool in the corners, see that? It just pops right up. Now you can work your way down and this will pop right out. See? I hate popping stuff. It really bothers me. Anyway, you do that on both sides. I'm going to do one side at a time just so you can see what we're doing here. So then we start working on this A-pillar here. Starting at the top. You can see how these things will pop out. And that comes out. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to be able to get these things back in. I mean, this is some crazy engineering. These Mercedes engineers, you know? You got to just go slow so you don't break any of the tabs off. Speaker grill, A-pillar, sun visor. All right. Oh, that's tight. Had a little Loctite on it. Don't forget your nut bucket. So I have one screw here, removed it. One screw here, removed it. Here's 3 and here's 4. So these have to come out. I mean, this is power. Raw power. And now this thing, in theory, should come right down. Am I missing something? Okay, it tips forward and down. You see these claw clips? Can you see that claw clip? Let me see if I can get in camera. Basically, what you got to do is, when you're pulling it out, click down and back. It's like a claw that goes like that, right in there. So when you're removing it, you click it, rotate it out like that. When we put it back, we're going in like that. Now we move to the center light. Ah, see, I got my nut bucket. Make sure you have a nut bucket. Keep everything organized. I got all of my prying tools in one bucket that I can reach in. I got my screws and everything in another. Stay organized. Work like a gentleman. Now, obviously, I'm doing 1/2. When I get this out, then I'm going to stop and go and remove these other components you've already seen done on the passenger side. Then we'll move to the B-pillars. So this little buckle, this really scares me because it's such thin plastic. But, I mean, I don't know why they got to do this. The plastic light should come out, and then we remove this cover. You just got to go slow. This is the first time I'm doing this. I'm no expert. I never claimed to be. But I'm willing to be careful and try it. Okay. That's right. That pops out. The lens. Now, let's see what's next here. This assembly should come down. There we go. See these 2 little clips? Okay, my bad. You're not using a tool. They provided these 2 little release clips on either side. So once you get the clip released, it comes right out. Okay? See, and you're doing this from the passenger side. The other side does not have those release clips. It simply has these little prong flanges to hold it in. And all of your work is done on the passenger side of this module. Now you're going to pull out these 3 little harnesses and you can get this out of the way. These little clips are a bit finicky. And what I did, because I've never pulled this type of clip before, I went in with one of my jeweler's screwdrivers because this is from my past life. I used to take watches apart like nobody's business. Anyway, you find out where the little détentes, the little holder clips are, and then you can just pry them out. That's how I did it. I'm sure the professionals have a secret. They know how to do it. But anyway, it's out. Now I'm going to stop here and get the other side caught up, and then we'll move on to the B-pillars. All right, the first step with the B-pillar, A pillar, B pillar, is these coat hooks. I'll do this right-handed. You just pry up underneath and they pop right off. See that? Get a screwdriver underneath, give it a twist, and they pop right off. Then you find your Torx bit that fits, and out this comes. Put it in your nut bucket. You gotta have nut bucket. Okay, now you start prying off this B-pillar. This goes from the top. Start up here. Actually, I think, there we go. Once I get the first break, then I'll know. Yeah, you gotta have this come out on both sides as you work down. Now, let's take a look. You don't want to force anything. What I want to do is get a look at the mechanism. See what it's like. What is it we're doing? Are we twisting? Are we pulling? Looks like you just want to pull it straight out. Like that. And they get hit in the head. Alright, this is the bottom of the B-pillar. Normally, you would have a D-ring, cargo D-ring right here. It has to come out. I already had taken mine out. I took all the D-rings out because I needed B footage to make it look like I was doing a lot of work in the van. No, that's not right. That's not what I was doing. I took them out because I don't need them under the floor. Alright, so that comes out. You put that in your nut bucket if you're going to use it again. And then we can continue down here. Now this lifts off down at the bottom. See these? Let's see if I can get in here. See, again with the claw. Again with the claw. So when you're going to go to reinstall this, you don't press it in, you rock it into place. Oh, I got to move my floor to do this. Look how tight that cut was. Okay, anyway. So here's your B-pillar. And when you take it off, take a look at these clips. These are spring wedge clips. So you know what you're up against when you're pulling it off and putting it back. Bare B-pillar. Look at this. Oh, here's a storage room. We could put stuff in there. The bottom line with any of this, as I said, nut bucket, is you can't be afraid to try. You know, like I said, it's the first time I'm doing this. I did a little research, I did a little studying on some of the other videos, and you know, you pick up a few tricks. They give you a little bit of advance warning about what's going to happen. Look, it's not terrible. What's the worst that could happen? You break something, so you replace it. It's not cancer. Okay, let's keep this all in perspective. Look, that was pretty easy. I'm good at taking stuff apart. Not so sure about putting it back together. But that's now, but see, here's the thing. Like I said, when you get this apart, you can look at it. You start to get an understanding of how this stuff works. I think that's pretty cool. This is the last, look at the lens. This is the last piece before we can get the headliner out. Pouring rain, it got dark. It's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What are you gonna do? Anyway, I'm gonna take these screws out I need a longer bit here. My angle is bad. Put these screws in the nut bucket. Another little tip. Don't just start here and go all the way around, because by the time you get to this one, this thing's going to swing down because this is the last connection point. Work towards the center. So I took those out. Now I'll take these out. And this can drop down. See? That stays up on its own. If the last connection point was on an end, as it is, I didn't get this one out. This little guy, oh, now I'm going to get wet. And worse than that, the van gets wet. Okay, now to my point. The last connection point is in the middle, not on the end. It won't. This thing could have fallen and you would have broke this tab off. All right, I think I made my point, right? Look at that. Remember this stuff? Neuco, sound deadener. Factory put some in. I'm going to add some more. Then I'm going to use my Thinsulate to insulate. Then I'll put this all back together. And we'll have one project complete. We could check it off the list. How refreshing. Better. Gotta put another piece there. So I cut the piece to fit. I can do this in one piece. I made a slit in the insulation right here for that radio antenna wire. Now in doing so, I'm able to tuck this insulation all the way down this deep crevice. This support beam that goes across the top of the windshield it's a good 4 inches or so. And it's hollow in there. There's nothing. Now my insulation goes all the way down to the bottom of it. So that's good. That's a good thing. The next dilemma that I'm facing, I got my Neuco in. The next dilemma is now it's hanging here. I need to adhere it to this. How do I do that? The easiest way to do it would be to come in here and spray this with adhesive and put it right up. As far as the application of this insulation, that's the easiest and the quickest way to go. However, we all know that's going to make a mess. It's going to get on everything, including my lens. I'd have to mask off everything in order to do that. Okay, so let's take it outside, spray it outside, and bring it in. Okay, no problem. I know from experience that ain't going to work either because it will not behave. Once this stuff's got adhesive on it, the minute it touches, it grabs on. So there's no way in the world I'm going to get this lined up and tucked in nice and neat with adhesive on it. That would be a mess too. And besides that, then I'd be stuck to it. No good. Now, all of this is a moot point once the headliner goes back in. The headliner is going to hold this in place. So wait a minute. Why don't we attach this to the back of the headliner out there? Then you bring in the whole assembly, put it in. Nobody's sticky, everybody's happy. What that means then is I would have to cut this so that I could fill that in with a separate piece of insulation. Then the balance of this piece goes on the headliner. Then we bring the headliner in. I like it. I'm going to do it. We'll see how it turns out. This worked out pretty well. Lens. This worked out pretty well. I may have a struggle putting this headliner back in, but I would have had that struggle anyway if this was on the wall to begin with, right? The only... Trees are raining. The only thing I had to do from the regular piece is I had to make a few slits so that when I adhere this thing, it'll lay flat. I'm going to give you a little tip. Look at the lens. I'm going to give you a little tip. Full disclosure. When you're insulating this area, do not bring your insulation down to this area. Okay, because believe it or not, the tolerances here are so tight to get this headliner back in place. I had to reach my hand up and push it up into this area from here. Now the beam this is attached to is insulated, but you cannot have any insulation between this plane and the beam. Here it's okay, not under here. Because remember that claw action I told you about with these visors? It's tight. The tolerance is very tight. This was pretty difficult for me to get back in. I needed to put this in to hold the headliner. When you put the headliner back in, you've got these clips up here before this piece goes on. Those clips are not enough to hold this thing. It can swing down and break all those clips. So when you're putting it back in, make sure you've got something here to support this until you get this piece on and you get at least one visor on. Now I'm good to go. It's not that hard after you've done it once. Everything's hard the first time. But you got to learn along the way. That's what I've done. And next time I do this job, boom, 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 it'll be done in no time because I know exactly what I'm up against. That's the whole point of these videos. It helps everybody. So I'm finishing up the replacement, the reinstall. I had a few bumps, a few issues, primarily because I put the insulation in there. As I told you, there are certain spots where you just can't have it. So this is one of those areas right there. Yeah. Once you make the clip connect, where's my bucket of bolts? Oh, for crying out loud. It's going to fall right out. Another thing you need to do, make note somehow of what screws go where. You know, they're all the same size, but some are different lengths. Some have washers. And that's going to be an issue if you forget. So make note of it somewhere. These are shorties up here. These are shorties. The long ones go through the visor. There we go. Oh! When they bite, they bite. Gotta love it. Oh, baby. Okay. Not too bad. 1, 2, 3. These just push in. There is a guide stud here, here, and down at the bottom there's a little another stud, a little something you got to put in. The reason I'm showing you this is if you're going to take this project on, you know what you got back there now. You know this comes straight off, pulls straight off, and you can see where your connection points are, so you know where to grab to pop. All right. Now there's a little slot down there for that one piece. And then you just make sure these slots are lined up and you're back in business. That That's like a gift. That's the easiest thing I've done. Now I kept my speaker grills in the corners where they belong, so it's easy for me to put them back in. Again, these are just little grab clips that snap in and out. I do not like this system. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I mean, it can't be much easier. If you got it lined up correctly and it's not flushing down by the glass, it's not flushing down at the window, it flushes up at the top where the dashboard is. Fantastic. I had a double click there. Yeah, and you know it's good when they're laying in flush. Beautiful. Very easy. All right, the B-pillars are the most difficult to reassemble of the whole job here. And the reason for that is the weather stripping. See, that side's got weather stripping on both sides of the pillar because of the sliding door. This one only has the weather stripping on one side, so it's only going to be half as difficult. This piece has tracks on each side that have to snap into these ridges. So you put in one side, you get it in there, right? And it clicks right in, okay? Easy, buddy. These B-pillars have their attachment points in the center. Hey, my light went out. I'll put this one on. We've got attachment points in the center. Remember, we pulled it off from both sides. These are wedge or triangle shaped springs. They bite in that way. There are no screws in this except for the coat hook screw at the top. So you've got certain things to line up. Remember what I said, you've got these claw hooks at the bottom. They hook in, then click, 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 and one more click up here with a stem that has to fit in that hole. So it may not be pretty the first time, but let's see how we do. Oh, this was the problem I had with my flooring. I hope I don't have to take my flooring up. So thread your seatbelt back through this thing, and hopefully I can get this snapped in without having to pull my floor out. Oh, that's tight. The other thing you have to do is make sure that this piece gets behind your weather stripping. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be a bad idea to pull the weather stripping when you're doing this job. But if you don't do that, get one of your delicate body tools here, and you can use that to bring this up and around. Yeah, see? Not too shabby. I don't think I'm going to get down into that hole. Sheesh. I made the cut pretty tight. Let's see if this works, because I haven't fastened the floor yet. This is one of those reasons why I did not. Hold on. Let's see if that helps me. There we go. I think I'm in. Yeah, be very careful with this weather strip. Okay. But now, we need a dummy to hold this up while I get everything put back together. So clearly, when this goes back in, that feels good, but we need something to hold this up. So I'm stuck here. What do you do when you're stuck? You call June. June! All right, that gives me the help I need to get this baby back in place. Once we get this in place, yeah, we'll be in good shape. Not completely. It's turned into a comedy show.